Beef farming is one of the top 3 contributors to McDonald's greenhouse gas emissions globally. So when we look at the materiality and the importance of sustainable beef production, that's why it's a priority for the business. McDonald's globally has some commitments around climate change, so we made a net carbon zero by 2050 commitment a few years ago, and we've got a 2030 greenhouse gas emissions target that we're working towards. So when McDonald's looks at the top markets that produce beef for McDonald's World, they look at these markets like New Zealand and go, what are you guys doing to help us achieve those commitments?
Yeah, sustainability is definitely at the core of everything that we do now. And it's not just talking about it, it's about living and breathing it every day right across our business. And for us, it's about responding to those signals we're seeing in market. Our customers are constantly querying us around what we're doing to address the climate change challenge. And so it's of absolute importance to us.
We know that climate change is a massive challenge for the whole world, including the beef sector, and we're all doing our part here, measuring and estimating the carbon footprints of greenhouse gas emissions of beef production. If we want to improve and reduce our emissions and impact, the first thing we need to do is to account for it, have a baseline, and now we can work on mitigation practices.
Yeah, this is becoming fundamental and essential to what we have to do. Us as a bank are getting questions and pressures from our stakeholders, and essentially, the emissions that we are financing are counted as our own emissions. So we need to understand what they are, and then what role can we help play in the solution to improve the emissions that are coming from the sector.
Since 2008, Beef and Lamb has been investing in research that helps farmers understand and reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. A recent example is the life cycle analysis that we did with Meat Industry Association and Ag Research, which helps farmers understand the emissions intensity of their sheep and beef production.
Yeah, a big part of ANZCO's involvement in the roundtable in more recent years has been around reduction of emissions, and that's clearly a focus globally. We've broken that into 2 parts. We've got that which we control directly, and that's seen us heavily invest in removal of coal boilers and the likes from our processing plants. We've switched to electricity, solar power as an alternative form of energy as well. In more recent times, we've moved on farm and looked at what we could do there as we start to understand our Scope 3 emissions. Our largest Scope 3, of course, are our farmer base.
A key part of helping farmers understand their on-farm emissions was through the development of a greenhouse gas calculator. Together with meat processing companies, we rolled out over 300 workshops around New Zealand. As a result of this, more than 9,000 farmers now know their emissions. This represents around 96% of New Zealand sheep and beef farmers.
We recognise the climate as both a challenge and a big opportunity for our industry. And so at Silver Fern Farms, we've been trying to lead the way, and that's through both engagement with our farmers and introducing new programs and product lines that recognise and celebrate the opportunity our industry has to respond to climate change as a challenge. We've run greenhouse gas workshops in response to the Know Your Number campaign alongside Beef and Lamb and some of other New Zealand's red meat processors. And more recently, we've developed a Net Carbon Zero by Nature range, which celebrates the large amount of on-farm sequestration that's occurring, and we match that against the emissions on a per kilo of product basis and celebrate those unique attributes here back in New Zealand farming systems.
We've invested heavily in a government industry initiative which sees us look at what some of the mitigations might be around, particularly that of methane, and we'll continue to invest in that space as those technologies become available.
Looking to the future, we're continuing to invest in ways that farmers can manage their emissions, whether this is through new technologies such as feed additives or changing farm management practices. One example is the use of new technology, such as portable accumulation chambers, which aim to measure methane from cattle faster and cheaper than other methods that are currently out there.
We've worked with Beef and Lamb New Zealand and the Meat Industry Association on a project calculating the carbon footprint of beef and lamb produced in New Zealand and exported to different countries. In regard to beef, we know that the production of beef in New Zealand, even when it's exported to different countries, because we are very efficient on the on-farm stage, we still have lower carbon footprint than the beef produced in other countries.